Woohoo, we're live. No pressure. So, welcome everybody, and I don't know if you all have your books with you. I have mine, and I took a whole bunch of notes. I promised myself I wouldn't, but I did. So, yeah, I'm probably going to just flip through my notes, and if you guys want to do the same to bring up anything maybe that stuck out to you or resonated, that would be cool. Well, find the beginning of it. Okay. Wow, so my notes are messier than I thought. It's because I usually read it at bedtime and I'm in bed when I'm taking them, so they're not too neat. Oh, Sarah's back! Yay! Welcome.
Thank you.
So we're gonna just get started with a discussion. And I was saying that, you know,
good.
No, you didn't miss anything. I was just like looking through my notebook to see what I jotted down that I, you know, stuff that I wanted to bring into the discussion and all of that. Well, first of all, I wanted to say that the whole being at the well, that even though it was pretty brief, oh my goodness, I was practically crying about it. It resonated. It was, oh my goodness, it was very powerful. I don't know how you guys think about that.
I shed some tears too, Marissa. I'll admit.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should establish who's read to up to what point first.
Oh, we kind of did that before you came back in a little bit.
Okay.
I think everybody's. I'm not sure what Leslie said exactly, but I read up to page 67. I didn't quite get to the 77 yet.
Okay.
And then Elena read up to what I sent out, which was like page 39, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm hearing some feedback from somebody. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it might be me. Hold on. I
might have to put headphones on.
I've just switched my mobile off so that we're not doubling up.
Okay, that's true. Oh, I still hear it. That's okay, we'll work with it. So I really liked, I don't know how many of you read the intro.
Yes.
But I really liked how he kind of said, you know, read this with your own heart and mind, keep what is of value for you, and leave the rest.
Yes. It's so enlightened, isn't it, to say that? It's very much the best attitude you can have when presenting material, which is to say, I'm not expecting this to be your ultimate truth necessarily. This is the truth as I see it and how I experienced it, and you take what you like, what you love, and what you don't, and do with it what you will. I think that's definitely the best, most enlightened way to go about it.
Exactly. Yeah, especially when we're all reading so much and learning so much, and it's kind of an information overload sometimes. So I love when someone just puts it out there, like, take what you can, don't worry about the rest.
Well, what struck me about him was that he's kind of somehow, in spite of the fact that he's ascending such a, let's say, a hotshot among ascended masters, he's apparently a reluctant channeler, you know, which I find amazing. That's what he said. He said that his scientific brain keeps cutting in, his mind keeps cutting in, and it's interesting how, for me, somehow, that made it more credible, because I don't know if you understand me. It's like the part of me is still a little teensy bit skeptical in there.
Right. Me too.
Just enough to be kind of reassured by the fact that one of the authors of this that we're reading, himself, needs to be put in trance by his spirit guides in order to not, you know. I think that's amazing. Yeah, I think that's very interesting.
It really makes it more credible to me, especially how he came out and said kind of, this is not, I mean, he's basically considering it fiction because he can't verify, that it's anything but
Yes.
that. So he's just kind of like, you know what? Could be fiction, could be a real story.
This is an account by somebody out there that we can't verify. Indeed.
Yeah, I love the scientific aspect of it, like you were saying.
And then
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying I've been looking more into Tom Kenyon's works and everything, and his music. I don't know if any of you looked into his many recordings.
Yes.
Has anyone else looked at Tom Kenyon's other work? Because I haven't.
No, I haven't. Not yet.
No, I should have, but no.
I haven't read anything, but I listened to an interview or two, and then I just listened to his music, his sound frequency healing music, which is really good. And that's about it. But
Marissa,
how does he what?
How does he come across to you?
Well, like when I hear him in an interview, or just
yeah. What sort of impression do you get?
Really scientific, really, his scientific side comes through foremost, I would say, and which is kind of
as well, like an academic. Yeah.
And he seems pretty skeptical of himself, and just kind of he's just really straightforward, with what he talks about.
What I loved about the introduction was how you got this very kind of quite divine masculine sort of vibe from him, and then his partner came along. He was an absolute perfect complement. It was like the two of them together make this beautiful whole, and I loved that. And then having read those introductions, I could see how they were the perfect channel for this message. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it kind of mimics it's like, it mimics the book almost, the divine feminine and divine masculine coming together to create something that was just amazing.
Kind of trying out the techniques. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. And then he goes on to reassure us that although he can't add any credibility to this disembodied voice speaking through him. He has no idea who it is or can't verify it. He does, however, say that he thinks the quality of the material is top notch. And I certainly felt that way. I certainly felt that way reading it, as far as I got.
I thought it was interesting how they mentioned that none of it was really edited too much after. I think they said that there was a process where he was channeling and Magdalen was kind of like making sure he got every word right.
That's right.
But they didn't over-edit it or anything.
You got the impression I got the impression that she was quite strict, and she was saying, read it back to me, word for word, and she was correcting it. So I'm quite reassured by that too. And I don't know about you, but I got an impression of her personality through that as well.
She's been misunderstood. Yes. Yeah, I feel like it's because she's been so misconstrued and misunderstood for centuries. She's like, you're gonna make sure every word is right.
Yeah.
No more misunderstandings.
Totally. In fact, she says that in the manuscript itself, which is very interesting. So I'm dying to ask you, what did you think about her personality? How that came across in this writing?
I don't know what anyone else thinks. I mean, I'll open it up to everyone, of course. But to me, I felt a little bit of a sternness because I think it was the discipline of having been trained. You know what I mean? But then she didn't know what she was in for. It's like, I met Yeshua, and then forget it. my knees went weak or what? I just love how she was like, even I, a trained initiate, was overcome and swept away. Like, my goodness.
Yes, Donna. What did you pick up any vibes across this manuscript about what she was like?
I think that she was using it as a lesson to teach about what a man and a woman's sexual and how it's part spiritual and it leads to higher spirituality and growth. That she stayed on task very much.
Yes. Very
So
focused.
at her personality, like, did she, you know, she didn't like talk about what they did together or her feelings. She wanted to, I think, present this as she wants people to know that this is real and that it's an important part of our life and our spiritual growth.
Yes. In spite of that, though, I still got some impression of her being quite a dame, like quite don't know how to say, quite a lady. You know, like if you were in her presence and you were whispering in the back, she'd be going silence. I don't know. I imagine like she's quite I got the impression she was quite commanding as a person. Yes, and that but that doesn't stop her being emotional though, of course, because she was saying she did now and again talk about how basically, yes, she was the initiate who had been trained and had been apparently destined for this role, and she knew that. But at the same time, as a woman, what did she say? That she began.
I think I wrote it down. It was really good.
To long for his looks and for his attention and for his embrace, and that But it's possible that Elena hasn't read that yet.
It's okay.
But, yes, it was interesting to see how you had this disciplined, trained person, someone trained in a mystic kind of tradition, who, when human met human, had all the human stuff going on.
Yeah, the meeting, like I said, was just hearing her take of that, and it makes you want to hear his exact take. I now I'm waiting for a book to hear like the other side of it.
Yes, so much.
And I also really like that she talks about how his mother Mary kind of looked at her, knowing that all right, you're the next one.
Yes.
Here you go. Here he is.
Yes, and what was interesting also was that Mary Magdalene was saying that spiritually, she considered her mother-in-law to be far above her, which was interesting.
Oh. Yes. I don't remember that.
Yeah, there's a part where she says that because basically in different ways, Mary the mother and Mary Magdalene had been basically assigned, sort of consecrated by the Temple of Isis to do what they were doing. And that Mother Mary was of such a high level of spirituality that she was considered to be a part of the goddess Isis incarnate.
Yeah, she did say that. I have it right here. She said, I say from my own clarity that Mary, having served as a vessel for Isis as an incarnate, was a highly developed master, but now having served in these ways, her mastery and perfection, her spiritual perfection is staggering.
Yes, I was really struck by that. So it wasn't just anybody who gave birth to Christ, to Yeshua. It wasn't just some random woman, not at all. And it was very pleasing to me. I got a shiver of pleasure as well when I read that they got on very well together, Mary and
love
Mary.
that.
Yes, that they had loved each other, and because of course so many stories and so much nonsense around suggesting that they might have had some sort of rivalry or that Mary Senior might not have accepted Mary, the daughter, and not far from it. Far from it.
The opposite, yeah.
Yeah.
It is comforting. Well, it does make sense that they both came from the temple and the teachings and everything. So that was pretty interesting. I had never really thought about that. So I was happy to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right. You kind of explained what some people would consider them whores is because they were trained to actually do this,
Yes. Yes.
That's a difference in translation, too. We don't have enough words to really mean that it's toward a spiritual end, not just, walk around and do this kind of deal, It's a bit different.
Yeah, it was easier for them to just put a whore label over it instead of, oh, okay, she has ritualistic sex with men. No, whatever. Easier to call her out. Well, I think part of it is that it probably intimidated the apostles and a lot of the men to be like, oh my God, what does she do? Let's just get her away from him, Sorry, Leslie, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I was under the impression that Mary wasn't trained in the sexual art part. She had a different calling.
You mean Mary the mother?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that they would have considered her a whore because she had a whole different set of training.
Oh, I was talking about Mary Magdalene. I don't know if Sarah was.
Right. Yeah, Mary was trained spiritually in other ways. From what I read, it was kind of obvious.
But Mary Mother was also part of the Temple of Isis.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And there was this moment when Mary the Mother recognized Mary Magdalene because of the bracelet she was wearing.
Right, the arm bracelet.
The arm bracelet. And I got an almighty shiver when I read about that because my mother has always worn a golden snake bracelet.
Wow.
I was like, what, seriously? My goodness.
Oh man, we should have all gone out and gotten our serpent bracelets here during that. I'm gonna do it, I swear. Even if I have to do it with a Sharpie or something, a gold Sharpie. I think though, even though Mary, the mother, had a different purpose, didn't everybody in the temple start out with the sexual alchemy? Or no?
You see, I don't know that. I'm not sure. You know what this book makes me want to do? It makes me really want to go and investigate the Temple of Isis.
Well, I think that both Marys kind of, to me, represent the infinity symbol. Because Mary, the mother, her answer and got to be with Mary Magdalene. And so you have both initiates really showing their power. And we create, and look what we create and then go and do in the world.
That makes sense.
You broke up a little bit there. Do you mind repeating that, Lois?
Oh, what I'm trying to say is that if Mary the Mother, as an initiate and as a of Isis, actually creates Yeshua, and then he as a vehicle and Mary Magdalene as a vehicle brought together, that's quite the infinity symbol encompassing all of creation and the power of what creation can then bring to the world. And it was kind of bookended by women. So I can see where patriarchal actually fear. Whoa, when women get together, look.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I did do some digging on Isis and the Temple of Isis, even biblical history. And when you finish this book, you see all the little parts together. You look back, even movies Like even Dan Brown movies, you'll see little quotes in there, and you're like, they knew about this stuff. We didn't know about this stuff. And
Oh, no, they knew.
There are actually really tiny, almost would be quote snippets.
Little gems.
Tons of Templar history and tons of Grail history, because that's something I love, and I've always been interested in that. And so when I read this, what made it real for me was in my head like a tapestry, all these little pieces of things that different groups and subcultures now in present day pick apart and play with and say, oh, this means this. This book kind of weaves it all together. Whoa. And I think this stuff is actually happening right now with people, and they don't realize the power that they're not understanding. So we get people who utilize some of these practices in different cultures, and it talks about that later in the book. And we don't have the language together, and I think this book gives us that finally.
Okay. I mean,
it acts as kind of a
me,
guideline, or you're saying, kind of helps us recognize the hidden things.
There are, once you finish the book, there are phrases that are used and references to places and things in here that you see pop up other places.
Interesting.
Okay. Fascinating. I mean, for me, I was struck by the fact that they were effectively playing with what we call in our community, most of us in our community, Kundalini. I had no idea that Yeshua and Mary Magdalene came from that tradition, albeit in Egypt. You know, that blew my mind. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. Like, wait, this sounds familiar.
It's like, whoa, this is like coming home. Another thing that made me literally sort of put me on fire was the fact that in the Temple of Isis tradition, apparently, they visualize the what we call Kundalini rising as a blue flame. And again, that was another moment where I just had this almighty shiver, you know, because I've always felt that my associated my own essence actually with a blue flame. So, and I've been searching. You don't know how long I've been searching for the reason why a blue flame is so important to me. I'm just staggered. Absolutely,
Right.
It felt like touching divine truth. It really did.
Yes, it's that zing. I mean, I've been reading it at night and taking notes, and I just sit there and go, oh, no way.
Yes.
Yeah, all these moments where you go, oh my God.
Now, what about those drops?
That I didn't fully understand if that can be translated in another way, bringing chakras or anything else into it.
It's on my list of things to find out as well about why I keep seeing white drops and then lately red, and I'm like, seriously? It's just like, I've had one heck of a time reading this, I swear.
Well, I think in Western civilization, the very minimal name we could give to drops like that would be hormones, you know, and how chemicals work together. And I think it really illustrates that the human body, we've always taught that it's our vessel. I think after reading this, I really can see it as a vessel where creative combustion happens inside of us.
Yes.
Diagram, pyramids. Like, oh, maybe they were generators because there are channels and reservoirs. I can see how much of what we look at in life, when we slice through it and look inside, the actual that happen, we take so for granted. And this really brings home for me that what happens is of importance, and it is actually real. And I think that's a gift for everyone to understand.
Oh, I wish I could. I'm having trouble hearing you, Lois.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
breaking up a little bit.
yeah, you're breaking up. Are you able to get closer to your modem or something?
Is this better?
Yes, so much better.
Yeah, but I think definitely seeing the human body as a vessel where alchemy happens. All those
Yes.
reservoirs, there's actually combustion of creativity and life that happens. And I was
Yes.
saying that when I see diagrams of the pyramids and you see the channels in the reservoir, I'm like, okay, I wonder if people think of maybe generating energy, or releasing spirit, or generating ka with people, or giving places, where that ka could be released into the ether from them.
Yes.
That process now makes sense for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, another massive aha moment, it was because for me, my greatest tragedy of like lovemaking actually is missing out on that crucial 5 minutes afterwards, which Mary Magdalene talks about. So, Alana, did you read about that?
No, not yet.
Okay, so basically, when you've got these two energy fields meeting in this with tantric union, which is what these a lot of the magic of the sex magic of Isis is about. It's basically about that, and the two coming together and merging, and then what they do is they use the orgasm to bring the energy up through the body and up through the crown in a specific way, in a controlled way. And then what is vital is the 5 minutes after mutual orgasm where you are supposed to nest together. I loved the word she used, to nest together, because it's in that moment, actually, the 5 minutes of nesting afterwards, that the two car fields are charged.
Mm-hmm.
And spiritual
magnetic.
takes place. The magnetism, exactly, takes place in those moments. And for me, and she explained that the men have a little bit more of a kind of, their natures are a bit more against them for this part, this specific aspect of the process, because what they want to do is two things. They either want to go to sleep, or they want to get up and
do something.
Do something, exactly. And for me, begging my partner to not do that has been a constant for me in relationships. I don't know what you feel about that.
Well, it's interesting that it's so important, but in our culture, it's seen as almost like a comedic thing, like, oh yeah, afterwards he just leaves, or he falls asleep. We think it's so funny, and then we read this and we go, oh my gosh, this is important.
Yes, and it's nice to have my natural inclination affirmed like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most females have that, That's why they make fun of us, like, oh, you want to cuddle, da-da-da-da-da. We know what we're doing.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
I feel like for them, either they have to sleep and therefore deny the experience afterward, that energy building, deny themselves that, or they have to expend it really fast and move.
Yes.
So they're not willing to hold that magnetic field.
Yes.
They either deny it or get rid of it. And that, I think, is because they don't have the understanding.
Of course not. But it's interesting that it should be a natural compulsion. Why would that be?
Yeah.
It's like it's inbuilt.
They're scared.
That's what I was going to say. I feel like it's fear. They go, this is too sacred. I'm out.
Yeah.
as women in a law of attraction, we attract that experience to us. So we must be to a degree also afraid of that taking place, because otherwise we would manifest men who didn't do that.
Hi, Marianne. Welcome.
Hi, Marianne.
Well, I'm curious about whether anyone here has, realized the opposite. Maybe someone here doesn't feel the urge to do that. I mean, some women don't. So I'm wondering if anyone kind of like doesn't like that after. Yes.
Oh, no, absolutely. I've always like yearned for that. Like absolutely. I've even been like brought to tears wanting that to happen and begging partners not to get up. You know?
Yes.
Definitely. I know. What about you, Elena? Have you experienced this?
Yeah, very similar than you. Yes.
Yeah, same feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she's back. Hi, Marianne. I think you got kicked out somehow. Can you hear us?
We can't hear you.
She might just be listening in.
Okay.
Well, you can join in if you want to.
Yeah.
Leslie, did you have any thoughts on any of this?
No, I'm just listening. You know how I work.
And you know I pull you out of your comfort zone to make you answer questions. That's our dynamic.
Aww.
Well, I would like to say that for me, not talking about the sex part because that's a little delicate area for me there. I would say that even though that Mary, the mother, like all of us, always had like dual roles because she was also an Essenian and she trained Jesus in that. She was also Jewish, which is how he became a Jew, and she practiced the Temple of Isis rituals, so she was very well versed in many things. All at once.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, and that resonated with me as a woman because we have many roles all at once. And
yes.
And the church has always tried to suppress that and given us like one role. But even back in the day, she had many roles.
Yes.
She was a Jewish woman with the culture, a Temple of Isis priestess or whatever, and she also was highly trained in the Essenian rituals and studies. So I found that fascinating.
Yeah, I didn't think of it so much that way. She was really the all-encompassing feminine, divine feminine.
Yeah. And it's funny because the Christian church has always painted her as this submissive, pure, everything just happened to her type of person, and she was the complete opposite. Which is how, which is why I was so happy to find the book, because I always felt that Mary the Mother and Mary Magdalene were completely blasphemized always.
Yes.
To the point where when I wanted this to be done, because I actually was a novitiate, I couldn't do it because I didn't believe that was true. I literally used to pray and be like, please let Joshua have had a wife and kids and had great sex and gotten drunk and had an actual life because it was illogical to me that he would come here to teach us without learning how to be a full man. It was illogical in my mind.
Yes. You can't teach fully about the experience of humanity without fully experiencing humanity yourself.
Exactly. Which is why I couldn't become a nun, because it was illogical.
I'm having some trouble. Is anyone getting a bad echo still?
No.
Yeah, I'm getting something.
Yeah, I am.
I think maybe, Sarah, if you we're getting feedback still from your speakers.
Well, I've just got an ordinary laptop. There's nothing else going on. I've switched my phone off just to make sure, I've put it on airplane mode. So, do you want me to log out and come back in?
I think it's usually when this happens, it's just that it's creating a loop. Like it'll come out of the speakers and go into the microphone. But so aside from putting headphones in, I don't think it'll resolve it at all.
Do you want me to go and get some headphones? Would that be better?
If it's not a bother.
Okay, I'll get a glass of water at the same time.
That's a good idea. I've been drinking coffee all day. I'll go ahead and mute hers for now. So that, okay, let me make sure. Yeah, okay, it was hers. Yeah, it was just becoming really, really hard for me to hear after a while. Oh, what was the last thing we said?
I was just digressing, unfortunately, about the, dichotomy of a woman and the many roles they do.
Oh, yes. No, that made a lot of sense. And you're right, usually, and you're talking about Mary the mother, right? How she was kind of just seen as kind of a vessel, right? I mean, it seems like she was revered just for having Jesus, Yeshua, and that's about it.
That's
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's like, wait a minute, I did a little bit more than that, but okay. No big deal.
Yeah. And to me, reading the book, it struck me that in her own way, Mary Magdalene suffered the same fate in her own time. Because she was his mate. So she was in love with him and trying to, deal with her training and her heart. And I got the impression, and I've always gotten the impression because I'm sort of like a biblical nerd, that his own disciples disregarded her in such a way and were jealous of her at the same time. So she also had a dual role. Woman of his, yet disciple.
It really makes me question the disciples after reading some parts in this book about how they considered some of the women, I'm like, And I think that may have been fear-based as well, like, uh-oh, these ladies are more powerful than all of us put together. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Yes, it was fear.
Exactly, because in Joshua's time, he was like a radical. He was like, women are equal, there are equals. So he actually had a woman pretty much by his side that must have been the talk of the whole town at all times.
You're right. He's like, man, can't I just have a boring girlfriend? He just...
I know, right?
Well, and in that time, too, women were the midwives. They were healers.
Yeah.
Once you put that package together and get it, it's almost like it's the embodiment of life and possibility. So, yeah, I guess if you are a man and those are things you can't do or don't look at, you are going to feel inferior. And especially the disciples, they're spreading.
Oh, I can't really hear you. It keeps cutting out. It might be your speaker. Are you on a phone?
I'm on the mic on my...
That's better.
Oh, yeah, that was a little better.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And the disciples, too, like, they were not spreading their own message. They were not the creators of that message. So for them, too, there's already a little bit of a built-in inferiority happening, because if you are not the creator, you don't have the passion of the message. You don't have the drive in you to spread it like the person who originates the message. And then to see Mary Magdalene be in Jesus' favor, I mean, they're already, in my mind, but now we're not really leading this party at all. And especially after he passes and ascends, and he has knowledge that they don't. I can really see how that would create dissension in that group.
Actually, you have a point, because if I understand correctly, back in the time, his disciples were not the most educated people to begin with. he was very
Exactly.
educated because he got, as an Essene, he was sent away to school and he was trained. So as a Temple of Isis member, she was also pretty educated, which at the time must have put a lot of his disciples in an extreme discomfort zone because they were not the most educated people.
And I very much feel like the initiates of ISIS were also, in some ways, probably doing a lot of channeling and pulling in etheric information.
Yeah, that is true. The meditation and all, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that those women would be very much an energy that people would either really, really fall into, really defend against. I think both Marys, in their training that they have, able to focus their energy in a way that would be very, very commanding when they wanted to. Even in just speaking.
Marissa, are you moving house?
Oh, I was plugging in my battery.
Okay.
a lot of sound.
Yeah, a lot of chunking and clunking. The only thing about that, Lois, though, is that I mean, the inner circle, as it were, the closest people to Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, were mostly people from their own background, though, because there were a lot. Some of them were brothers and sisters, and I don't know. I mean, there was probably a mixture, I would say, of levels of education. I wouldn't say everyone was necessarily uncomfortable. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
It's at will if either Mary wanted to make their presence known. I feel that they definitely had the focus to bring whatever amount of energy to bear that they wanted.
Okay. No, sorry, I'm just amazed that this is happening, really. After how many weeks it has been that we've been all like reading and preparing for this. It's wonderful. It's really wonderful.
I know, yes, I'm so glad you guys are here and that people had an interest in actually discussing it face to face, because that's great. But I know you guys probably feel the same way. It really cements it when you're able to share it and talk about it with other people. I think it really increases what you learn and all of that, and it puts more practice behind it. And just wow, I was curious because like I said, when I first heard about this book, it was when I had my first session with Pamela, and one of my questions for her was, and she told me about these connections, the Magdalene line and all of that I had, and I'm sure a lot of people in the group have. And before I asked her another question, my second question for her had been, why do I feel such a attraction towards, like Arthurian myths and Morgan Le Fay and all the, Avalon. Like, I'm always researching Avalon, the Tor, Glastonbury. I mean, I'm obsessed. And she said, oh, well, Sarah married into that line, the royal line. And
I know. I got chills when I read about that too.
When she told me that, I said, what? She said, yeah, read this book. And I'm like, oh, I can't wait to read this part, And so when she talked about that, I was just like, okay, now it's making sense. It's all coming together now. So that makes a lot of sense. So I can't wait to read more about that part because I'm so interested in that. And it makes, she said, so most people from the line have very, very strong desire to learn more about that kind of a thing, just because the bloodline comes from there too. Cool.
Wow.
That's really neat. How did the rest of you come across this book? Is it from interest of Mary Magdalene, or how else did I'm curious about the ways you guys have become interested.
Well, I literally learned about the book when you made the post, and I was like, yes, I've never heard about it, but I love Mary Magdalene, and I don't care if I'm related or not, I'm so in.
Exactly.
And then basically, You know, and then Pamela was like, yes, you are. I was like, thank you, and that was it.
That'll do. I guess I mean I've always been intrigued by the I mean it's awful but at the same time still wonderful that really I awakened to the story the alternative, or let's say the true story of Mary Magdalene, really from reading Dan Brown, if I'm honest.
Mhm.
I mean, that was the first time, when I read that was the first time I actually had ever been presented an alternative story to
Yes.
what the Bible, etc., and the establishment had always maintained. And then that kind of, it did sort of awaken something inside me, I must say, because it just seemed to really resonate. The idea that there was an alternative story to begin with, and of course, anyone awakening in this age is always, alarm bells always ringing when you hear about the feminine being suppressed, because I mean that's very much my mother's story personally, and something that she goes on about a lot. And then I saw the channeling that Pamela did, and when I watched that, oh my goodness, my heart just, I just don't know how to say except that it just went boom, really, it just exploded, and it was as if I could feel like from here, like a torch had been lit of this shining kind of pink light, actually, from here that was illuminating me from this point here upwards like that. That's how I felt. I don't know about you guys.
Wow.
And so that switched me on, and then I saw some mention of it on, yes, in fact it was your post probably, Marissa, and then the ensuing discussion, and then Pamela said to me that she thought that my energy was from the Magdalene ascendancy too. So that's why, who was it who added me to this discussion group? Was it Pamela herself, or was it you, Marissa?
I added anyone who said they wanted to be added in the thread, but I don't remember if you were one of those. I know some people have just added people here and there, so I'm not sure. I think Pamela might have added you.
Yeah, I think she might have too. Yeah. And then ever since then, I've just started to kind of, I don't know how to explain it really, just sort of, I have this sensation that she's around me. Or I don't know.
Hey, Bo.
Hey, Bo. We
Oh,
made
hey,
it
I thought you
last.
were working. Cool. You might be at work. That's dedication if you are. Can you hear us? He usually has a bad signal, so I don't know.
Oh.
Ooh.
I just hear a lot of background people. I'm not sure. Well, if you want to join in, feel free. For now, I'm just going to mute you because there's a lot of background noise.
Oh.
I don't know if it worked. Maybe he's just listening in. Because you mentioned in the Hangouts that he's at work, so he must just be listening. What was I going to say? Oh, go ahead, Leslie.
Okay, something just like popped out at me, so I'm just gonna ask it here. Okay, I haven't, like I guess I'm not that far in the book to where Mary Magdalene says about her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
But how many kids did she say she had? One?
I think it's just one. I'm not positive though.
Because I remember. I asked that because I remember in the Jesus channeling that Pamela did, Jesus said he had like 4.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
No, didn't he say they had 5 and that 2
Or 5.
two
and
died?
7 or something like that. Yeah, something like that.
5 and only 3 survived.
Okay, well, I know there was more than one.
Yes. Yes, I was surprised about that part.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't understand that either. What about the other two children? Doesn't make sense, does it?
Well, thank you, ladies, because I was like, should I say it? Should I not say it? Is it in my mind?
Yeah.
What the heck?
No, yeah, if it's on your mind, if it's even conflicts with things we've learned, bring it up because.
Oh, it's all valid. It's all valid, definitely.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're all learning together.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe so, has anyone finished the whole book?
No, I haven't finished it. I have.
Lois has, I think, right?
Yes, I think she's.
Right. All right. I wonder if there's more mention of more children.
Yeah. No?
No?
Lois?
I think she said they only mentioned one. I think it's one of them.
Yeah, and yeah, that just popped out at me. So I was like, okay.
Man, where's Pamela when you need her?
Right?
Exactly.
In Australia. Yeah, well, we'll have to ask her that one. Yeah, I'm curious about that one.
Yeah, me too.
Where are the other kids? Maybe the other children weren't special, so they didn't talk about them.
Yeah, after all.
Such a sad.
Yeah, they're there.
Maybe she's the only one that started the ninth. Was of any lineage that had any importance. I don't know.
She was a celebrity of the family, right?
I think it's because she was called Sarah, basically. And if you're called Sarah, then that makes you really important.
Famous. It makes you very special. That's a good theory.
That's pretty funny.
I wanted to ask, I think it connects to this because it was like in Pamela's channeling, they always, either Jesus or Mary Magdalene, they say like, he didn't die, and they continued like living together, and they had the other kids. So that's like a very, like they said it differently than in the book, because in the book it was all like, I didn't get like too far, but it was in a different way, like very, like,
yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes, Elena, that's right. I had the same little thing with that.
Yeah.
Because in the channeling, he said that he was in a, one of those states that looked like he died, but he really didn't die. And then in the book, he died, and he came back with his ka body, which was a different version of what Jesus said.
I really wondered about that part too, because I know it was mentioned somewhere that he went on to live in where was it?
India or something?
The Middle East? Was it the Middle East?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think it's India.
I mean, maybe she was talking about reincarnation or something like that. I'm not sure.
Weren't they both supposed to have spent 7 years in solitude after the resurrection?
Yes, I think so. And then...
Yeah, that, or I think that he went for more training or to do something and left her alone, and he'd visit her or something like that. Something like that. But yes. 7 years of something.
I think he was traveling, and she was in solitude.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then they reunited afterwards, and then settled down and had children.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I was like, wait a minute.
Well, she does talk about being visited, but on, like you said, in the cop body, not physical. So.
And going back to the importance of Glastonbury and that lineage and everything, did you know, Marissa, that Glastonbury is supposed to be the heart chakra of the world?
Yes, I do.
Isn't that
I'm such a
amazing?
nerd. I have all these books. I bought a couple of books on it. I haven't read them all because I'm reading this first. But I do so much research, and I went, oh, the heart chakra. Yep, I bet that's that really resonates with me. I've looked up the chakras of the earth. I don't know if anyone else has done that, but it's really interesting. There are a
Interesting
couple
that-
different maps, but the one that resonates with me is the one that shows the heart chakra at the core. And because come on, it's a huge green. I don't know. It resonates on so many levels, but
What about LA being the root chakra?
LA. The root chakra is about 3 or 4 hours away from me, Mount Shasta, and so I would like to visit that because again, I have some like Lemurian ties, and that's apparently where they went. Some people say they live in the mountain, things like that. So I would like to visit the mountain. I want to visit all the earth chakras, but the core, that's like my one priority. Definitely.
I must say I'm quite attracted to Tibet.
I think that's where the crown is.
Crown chakra, yeah.
That makes sense, doesn't it? Doesn't that seem to make a lot of sense? Yeah, very interesting stuff.
Which is the solar plexus chakra? I've forgotten. I was going to look it up.
Is it Australia?
Is it?
I
Yes.
think there's one in Australia. I know there's sacral. The second is in Peru.
Yes.
I remember that.
Solar plexus. And then there's one that they say moves around.
Really?
Is the third eye chakra?
Ah. Yeah.
I don't remember where it's supposed to be right now. I always look this stuff up. I should have done it earlier, but yes, and then there's different vortices and everything like that. But those are the main ones. Yeah, it looks like Australia is where the solar plexus is.
Yeah. Ha.
And of course, the fifth is at the pyramid, so that's pretty cool too.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome.
Anyways, a little off topic, but not really.
Oh, sorry.
It all ties in. It all ties in. Now, I'm curious about how some I don't think everyone's read up to this point, but how Mary Magdalene talks about living by herself, kind of by the sea. And yes, Yeshua visited her sometimes, but did anyone get a sense of loneliness at all, or was it contentment? I felt kind of a loneliness.
Yes.
That in all honesty, I was so touched by that because my grandparents were like the ultimate soulmates. It took them literally like 100 years to get it right. And he was a merchant marine, and his family owned like a like shipping business, with ships. And she used to always tell me that she hated the ocean because the ocean was forever taking him away from her.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Waiting. So honestly, that really touched me because I used to see it in my grandmother, and I was like, "Oh, poor Mary Magdalene."
Yeah.
Wow.
Whereas I'm the other way around. I'm being called by the sea.
Me too. I love it.
Yeah.
I really want. So we all need to meet up on a beach, everyone.
Yes. That would be lovely.
Get your bikinis ready.
Your bikini body's ready.
Right? Have to start now. Year.
Is anyone else curious about the part where Mary talks about Yeshua coming back in the Ka body and meeting Sarah?
Yes,
and how they went for a walk or something like that, and they talked for a long time. I was like, what did they talk about? Maybe he was giving her directions, instructions. Oh gosh, I'm just so curious about what they talked about.
I was just about to say that touched me deeply. Really touched me deeply. The thought of her not knowing her father and then spending those 2 precious hours with him. And so I wonder how much she did know him, whether she knew him up to the age of 6 or something, or how that happened, I don't know. I wonder about that.
I think they said that they didn't meet until she was like not to that point, or
You know,
Oh, I think that. So the first time they met, was that when she was already pregnant herself?
yeah,
No, they knew each other. She was still a child when they. So she did know her father up till I don't know what age. I think I'm sure of it. I'm sure I read that in the book. I could be wrong.
Because I thought that when he apparently died, she wasn't even born at that point.
yeah,
No.
because not that she was pregnant. She.
We got confusion here.
That's why these are so helpful. Helpful to talk about it. Yeah, I'd have to reread it. I didn't see any parts where it mentioned that meeting aside from that when they'd had that walk.
Yeah, because I thought that they never met. Because I was bad and I read the back first and then I sort of skipped around and then I started.
Oh,
I did a bit too.
Oh man.
let's see.
Yeah, it's here somewhere.
Where is that?
Oh. Okay. They talked about her. She talks about her just becoming pregnant, Sarah, and visiting. Then she says, "I don't know if you can appreciate how odd it was, for Sarah had never met her father, nor Yeshua his daughter, and yet here they met for the first time." Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I got that wrong somehow. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, can you imagine? She must have heard all these stories. She must have, can you imagine what she must have thought of her own father?
Yeah, amazing. I wonder what she knew about him, because, she was on the side of the world where he wasn't so, in his, at that time he wasn't a superstar yet, really.
no.
Superstar.
You know what I mean?
No,
Yeah.
it's true. Well, that was partially why they moved there, is it not? Because they kind of knew that they would be left alone a little bit, I think.
Yeah,
Well,
for her safety.
they were being persecuted. It was for their safety.
But also, to me, I would feel, well, from my understanding and perception, I would think that she knew about her father. Probably she would have been the only person who would know the truth based on her mom.
And
with that extra frou-frou stuff that was a lie.
Yeah.
Right. I would hope so.
Yeah. And then on page 23, it's where you get to hear about how they they settled in Glastonbury for several years until Sarah was 12. And then upon her 12th birthday, they set off for the place among the reeds where we had landed. There, as close to Egypt as was safe for us to go, I initiated my daughter into the cult of Isis and bathed her in the waters of the Mediterranean in accordance with the teachings I had been given.
Oh, okay.
So
that really makes me wonder what all she could have learned at Glastonbury, because I mean, in Avalon, it's probably all of us know this, but that's where a lot of priestesses were trained.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if she got any sort of a training there. I mean, she kind of glosses over that part. She doesn't really talk about it that much, but I'm really curious about that. If Sarah got any kind of training there first, that would kind of make sense. Yeah. Wow, doesn't it make you wish that Pamela had not done the channeling yet? We could hear another one. Maybe we could request a An encore.
Channeling.
After we're done with the book, maybe they'll
With the book.
Well, we have questions. We need another one. We didn't know we had these questions before. Now we have them. Bo had put this in the chat room. He said, I'm putting it in the side chat, but not everyone could probably see it.
Yeah.
He says, the manufacturer's preface opens with the quality in and out from Kenyon. What? Comparing channeling to catching. He's basically saying that Kenyon compares channeling to catching loose fish in a net. Then he says, from there, the reader is presented with an interesting second-person account of Mary Magdalene because it is channeled. The most profound thing that stood out to me was the suggestion of Yeshua creating a pathway of light through the afterlife for others to follow. This stood out because it can be found in several Gnostic works, adding validity to the story.
Yeah, that's true. I was like, yes.
The way of light.
Yes, and what struck me was that Mary Magdalene was aware of her role in preparing him to give him so that he could amass the power he needed to progress.
Yes, I had written that part down because I thought that was so powerful. She said,
because she was part of. It was with her help that he could expand his car body and therefore access the bar, the celestial energy, to sort of power him forward into that mission. I thought that was amazing. Like, really fascinating.
Yeah, that's true. I was impressed because when I was listening to Mary Magdalene's story at the well and stuff, I was really touched because that meant that Yeshua himself had also been trained, and he was also waiting for the right one.
Yes.
And I was like, that is so beautiful.
Yes. Totally. Oh.
She had, I had written it down. She had said, I was able to charge his ka, his energy body, with greater light and greater tone so that he could more easily work. Greater force so that he could more easily work. So she really was, well, they say, the woman behind the man, and that's in various cultures, that's such an important part. But like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with some Native American cultures, when the shaman, the male, projects himself and goes out of his body, there's typically a female behind him because she's the one who brings him back in, so he can't really.
It's like the men come back to recharge. Yeah.
And so that whole behind every man is a great woman, or I'm sorry, behind every great man is a woman. It kind of makes sense if you go back to all those all of that. So yeah, it's stuff we've always talked about, but when you hear it on this level, you go, wow, okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
It's interesting. Sorry, can I just ask quickly, what part, can anyone point me to where the well is mentioned? I'd love to go back to that bit.
Oh, it's right in the beginning, I think.
It's right in the beginning, okay. All right, so I'm going to go back and look for it. Okay, sorry, I interrupted someone. Someone was going to say something.
Oh, no, that's okay. I changed my mind. Thank you.
Oh, bless you.
It was page, I'm not seeing the well part.
Isn't it like right at the beginning?
I thought, but I'm not seeing it now.
Oh, I begin my story at the well. For in many ways, that is where my life truly began. All the years previous were preparation for this meeting. So that's page 20.
Yes.
That morning I knew something was stirring, a kind of excitement, a trembling in the arms and legs, before I even met him. I was already at the well when he arrived. So, where else is this? She talks of this well as if is this a biblical story that I've missed?
Yes,
I
they're
think
actually
so.
well. It's a biblical story. I mean, okay, it doesn't say that they met at the well, but there's a well.
Okay, because
Wow.
somehow I missed that. Can you expand on that?
You know what? To tell you the truth, I should know this, and I should have looked it up, considering all my years as a senior.
Yes, you should. Shame on you.
I should. And I meant to look it up just in case it got presented here, but I didn't because I was like, oh yeah, and I just kept going. But because she was drawing water at the well, but they presented her like a whore. See, because my problem has always
yes. Okay, that's something's coming back to me now.
Yeah.
Apostles, because they saw the snake, the serpent, and that's what they considered them.
Yeah, whores.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was
and people
to her, they questioned him.
Yeah, people around him were shocked that he would talk to her.
Yeah, but that was the truth, and I was so touched to hear that, I have to admit. Because I don't know what page it was on, but when she mentioned that when Mary the mother looked in her eyes and they had an understanding.
Yes, yes. Yeah. That was touching too, because they recognized each other as Temple of Isis initiates, and far from Mary the mother being prejudiced. It was the contrary of that, in fact. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, but the part that has always fascinated me, about her reputation was that in the actual Bible, they just put like 2 or 3 erroneous statements together and came up with a story.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it always like blows my mind how that even stuck.
Yes, I know. It's just amazing, isn't it?
I mean, you don't know. Yeah, and I was always like, I don't know, sister. I don't believe that. And I'll be like kicked out of class. I'm like, forget it.
Well, some stories in the Bible, like that he went and found men and told them, if you want to follow me and go to heaven, you have to leave your wife and children. And then he's with Mary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of it is like discrepancies and stuff, and that. It's like saying that being with your wife and children and taking care of them wouldn't always be the right thing to do. Something. Just wander off into the desert and follow some guy talking. Come along.
No, that's true, because in my heart, I've always had, because I'm a little rebelly on the inside, I've always had this secret dream of being able to astral plane and go into the Vatican and read the actual Gospels that got wiped out.
Yep. Yeah, that would be amazing.
Read them all. Yeah.
But
you can do that and then give us a synopsis.
Right?
Oh, never mind the synopsis. I want to hear it word for word.
You want the details.
Yes.
Well, speaking of astral travel, do you remember, in Pamela's group when everyone did the travel to Egypt, to the pyramids? Did anyone participate in that or try to?
No.
I can't astral travel, unfortunately. It's not a gift I possess.
Me neither. Me neither. I set out an intention and I tried, and the only thing I remember, and I usually remember my dreams and that kind of thing, but I just remember the word initiate, and that's it. And so or initiation. And so the next day I was reading through people's accounts, and I kept coming across the word initiation. Like, they said, yeah, there was an initiation. I go, what? So I don't know if I was there, but I got the word initiation. And people are talking about white robes, people being in white robes, and that sort of a thing, especially the people from the line, the Magdalen line. Or there was an ISIS initiation is what it was, I think. And so I thought, well, maybe next time I'll get more than just a word, but we'll see. Initiated into something, I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I've only experimented a very, very few times, like a handful of times, with astral travel. But the few times that I have been really, really powerful, and that's without remembering my journeys.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds wacky, but you can set the intention to, for instance, one night I set the intention to. I wrote about it in the group actually with a picture. I posted about it. I wanted to go on a magical adventure where I would be struck with the awesome beauty of the universe and be reunited with my love for the universe, to deepen my love for the universe. And when I woke up, I was quite disappointed that I hadn't remembered anything. And so I went to work as normal. And then, I just had this one sublime moment of, like, it as part of an inner conversation with myself, of remembering it. And it was just, and so I hadn't remembered the actual astral travel, but I definitely remembered the feeling of being in love with the universe and feeling that love. So I really recommend people do that, because even if you don't remember, like, rising out of your body and traveling over fields and seeing whatever you might want to be seeing, you definitely remember it the next day. Just the way you feel. So
I think a lot of people get discouraged when they don't have this, like, detailed experience. So I feel like exactly that. The more you do it, just see what happens the next day, see what comes up throughout the day. Keep doing it, because practice helps, and that's what I want to start doing and seeing what I remember.
What I can say to you is that what's vital is the wording. Just just take a few moments to kind of word it a bit. So which was the one? Yeah. So this is just the simple wording that I used for the love of the universe one. Okay. It goes like this: I hereby set the intention to astral travel tonight on a journey that dramatically amplifies my love for this universe. I want to be awestruck with beauty. I want to remember every aspect of my journey. Okay, so I didn't remember every aspect of my journey. But the next day I got this, just a moment of this rush of just feeling like, and it felt, interestingly, it felt like an alchemical transformation. Because in that moment I felt like all my cells had changed to a new kind of positivity. So
that's powerful.
Yeah, it was. It really, really was. And every now and again, because what another practice I have is to try and remember the feeling signature or something, right?
Yes.
So if I want a little buzz, I just try and remember the moment when I was waiting for my sandwich in line for my sandwich in the sandwich shop, when I was sort of kind of daydreaming, and I remembered this being awestruck with the beauty of the universe, and every now and again I just have a little a little moment. So I really recommend
it makes sense. I like that term, feeling signature, because I think a lot of us, even if we don't remember our dreams, some of us, that feeling like, oh, that was heavy, or that's
exactly.
but I don't remember the detail.
How many of us go through a day like shuddering because of a nightmare they've had, And what I'm saying is this is just all that more powerful. If you set an intention to, hello, who's that? Oh, hello.
Hi, Marianne. Sorry.
She made it
back.
I've only been trying an hour and a half.
I read.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad you made it in.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
I'm sorry I interrupted. Go on.
So we kind of ran off topic, and we've discussed the book a lot. I see some of us haven't read it all, so we've got to a point where we're just talking about general topics now: astral travel.
Okay.
What else? Yeah. where have you got to, Marianne, with the book?
Oh, page 28 or something like that. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to do something. Yeah.
We're all at various levels of it. Are there anything that stood out to you that you would maybe want to talk about, or questions?
It was interesting about the path of light that he was making, and that reminded me of some people experiencing OBEs, and they see tunnels of light. And some of them, I've been reading that some of them are not, you're not supposed to go, that they go into other dimensions or whatever, that they're dangerous because I don't know, I've been reading all this stuff about souls being trapped and souls being stolen or kidnapped. If you go through one of these tunnels of light, that it's not true, not to go through the light. So that's interesting. So how do we know which path of light?
Heard of that. You know, I think what it is that going through the light, you have to make that decision, because I think that if you don't, then you have to go through some more lessons, or you have more lessons to learn. I'm not positive about that, because I have heard a little bit about it, but I haven't looked into it that much myself. But I think what going through the light means that you've completed this experience.
Yes.
I think. Maybe someone else has a different insight, but that's just how I understand it.
Well, it's interesting because I was reading about, watching some YouTube lectures given by a neuroscientist who talks about near-death experiences. And it seems that the tunnel and the light that you're talking about, Marianne, isn't actually present in all cultures.
Really? Really?
No, it seems to be more of a Western thing.
Oh, that's interesting. What are we creating?
Isn't that interesting? And it
Wow,
seems
I
that
didn't know that.
near-death experiences reported elsewhere in the world don't have that experience.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it seems that there's a kind of north and south hemisphere divide. According to what sort of near-death experience you would have or not.
Oh.
Fascinating. So it's a series of lectures by a guy called Todd Murphy.
Todd Murphy sounds familiar.
And now he's very interesting because basically he talks about spiritual experiences and how the brain reacts. What the brain is doing during near-death experiences or other spiritual experiences. He talks about a range of spiritual experiences, and it's a set of like 6 lectures. They're very long. I think it's 6, maybe 4 or 5. No, somewhere between 4 and 6 lectures, all an hour and a half long each.
Oh, okay.
But they are so worth watching. I was watching them absolutely hanging on his every word.
Yeah. They sound interesting.
Oh, I would look them up. If you're interested in near-death experiences, Marianne, it might just shed some light on the subject for you there.
Yeah, it's all
so
these.
He has a YouTube channel, so just check him out.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was his name again?
Todd Murphy.
Todd Murphy. Okay.
Yeah, but you can message me anytime, and I'll direct you.
Thank you.
So, anyway, we're straight off the subject again. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, going back to the book, I had written down something that I thought was interesting. How she talks about how, this has been taken out of context, I guess, and that the fact that Yeshua has said things like, I and the Father are one, but then he says something else that seems contradictory, which is, without my Father, I can do nothing. So she says he kind of oscillated between connection to Spirit Source and the idea that he could do nothing without the Spirit. So I think we all kind of go about that in our heads. We say, we kind of disconnect ourselves from the Spirit sometimes by going, I need it, I need its support. but then other times we embody it and say, I am source. And so I thought it was interesting that even he had oscillating moments where he was in and out of it, like, oh my goodness. But of course, you know, Christianity teaches that he's talking about God, the Father, not necessarily source. But
Yes,
yeah, I just thought that part was interesting.
That's page 43. Yeshua often used the phrase, I and the Father are one. This has led to great misinterpretation. From the initiatory standpoint, it is simply another word for spirit. So where he says I and the Father are one, you could substitute I and the Spirit are one.
Right.
And then in these words, Yeshua was indicating that he merged with his Spirit, and that is how the miracles were accomplished. And so he would go back and forth between two ideas, which the Gospels report in their own limited way. So yes, that bears rereading, that page 43. And it's interesting, Marissa, because I had noted that one as well.
I just thought, oh my goodness, you know, because I've always been into, you know, my parents have always been into dissecting the Bible, kind of, and so that rubbed off onto me a little bit, where you look kind of between the words, like, well, is that really what he meant? Is that how it was supposed to be translated?
And the way she explains it is actually quite succinct and well put. She says, so on the one hand, Yeshua would sometimes say, I and the Father are one. At other times, he would say, without my Father, I can do nothing. And this is how she explains it. This is the oscillation that occurs with the initiatory process, in which the initiate oscillates between the strength and conviction of his or her connection to Spirit Source, and then to the other state of mind, in which they realize that they are nothing and can do nothing without Spirit. So the one state of mind has a feeling of omnipotence, and the other state of mind has the feeling of impotence. And the initiate must pass between these two. That Yeshua used these phrases several times indicated to me, as a fellow initiate, that he was in the middle of this paradox. And again, what I love about this is how it just brings Yeshua back into humanity for us.
Yes.
I love that.
You know?
All those moments where it's like, you know what, he had questions. He questioned himself. You know, we're not taught those things. We're taught that he knew everything. He was more of a guide than really a leader. And I think he's been put on a pedestal in a way that he probably didn't want to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Marianne,
it talks about him going out to the desert and that he was tempted, right? He says that, you know, he was tempted. So that shows his humanness anyway, and that he wasn't always able to be so connected to Source, to Spirit, either. You know, or when he's on the cross and he says, do I have to do this? You know?
Oh, that part really strikes me. The whole, wait a minute.
Because it says,
I don't have the strength.
I don't know if I want to do this. I really gotta, you know? And I think, I mean, to me, those kind of things really, they're pushed aside too much in the Bible, and that they're very important so that you understand he really was a person too.
Yes.
Well, definitely that has a lot to do with when they put the Bible together and they interpreted into Latin. They translated into Latin. So all these men, I think there were 10 or 12 men that interpreted the Bible, and they decided which scrolls to include in the Bible, because not all of them were included. So I think it's in the translation that all this, of course, gets lost, and we hear a lot about that. But it's interesting because I was raised Catholic, the Roman Catholic Church, and there's several other Episcopal and other kind of like branches of Catholicism. But I was raised in the Catholic Church in the East Coast of United States, and I was taught that the Trinity, God the Father, the Spirit, and the Holy Spirit, and Jesus Christ, were three separate entities, and we were never taught that they were all one God. We were taught that they were parts of God, but they were not all God, and that Jesus was pretty much one of us, except that he was on the higher, totem pole. So that's very interesting, and it was just in the last 10 years that I've realized that other people had this thing about Jesus Christ being being God. For instance, like in the Bible Belt, I hear a lot where Jesus Christ is the one who's really prayed to and worshipped rather than God. Whereas I grew up in Catholic school and we prayed straight to God, not Jesus. Jesus was our Savior, and he did this, and he, but our focus was on God, whereas other Catholics, their focus is on Jesus. So that totally confused me in the last.
Well, in Catholicism, they focus on Mary. I mean, Mother Mary as well, primarily, right?
Yes, they also Mother Mary, especially in certain cultures.
Even Catholic, it depends which church you go to, which school. I went to Notre Dame, so I grew up Catholic too. And it really depends. I've never even met two priests that totally agree.
Yeah.
We have our own view, So my Catholic experience would be different than yours. Like, I had a stigmata was in my family. So I always knew about the archangels, visions, all kinds of stuff that most Catholics say, no, that's bad and stuff. I didn't learn that way. So even in the same religion, we can have very different experiences because of where we are and the people teaching it to us.
So right there we can see how divided it is, and how, not people don't know everything. Even our hierarchy don't know, are not teaching the same thing about,
Well, I love the whole idea of, we're not sure. I think a lot of people that are placed in leadership positions like that, priests and everything, they kind of act like they have all the answers when they know that they don't, So I think I just love the trying to be humble and say, this may be what we believe, but I don't think anyone's quite sure. And
But that's what they want us to believe. That's pretty much what they tell us, that they do know, right? Yeah. So.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's all about having to give away your power and all of that, and not really think for yourself, and really not. I mean, it doesn't always have to be like that. I'm not throwing every religion under the bus, but based on my experiences, that's usually how it goes.
I was so bad when I was maybe 12 or 13, and when I was older, we switched to a public school, so then I was just going to catechism. And I asked one of the priests, I says, do you know that when you take people's sins upon you, when you're forgiving them and doing that, that they're then yours, and you have to know how to get rid of them? And he just looked at me and he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, don't you know this? And I found that's amazing. How can you not know that? But that's one of the reasons a lot of priests and pastors will wind up doing sins of people that it's like a healer. It's the same thing. Taking their energy on. And then how do you get rid of it?
And if you don't charge it off with intention, as a healer we do these things, charge it off, with intention, then you could suffer. But bring it back to I just remembered a part in the book about the loaves of bread and the fish and the wine, and how the church kind of just perverted that completely. Like, oh, we have to give you. I didn't really realize that connection. That it kind of came from that happening when he provided the fish and the wine and the loaves of bread, and that kind of went down to the whole what's it called when they give you that, the
Eucharist.
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Communion.
I thought, wow, yes. I thought, wow, did it really have ties to that? I never had really thought about that, and if so, they kind of did make it more of a control thing, like, oh, we give this to you. We're the only ones who could give it to you. Whereas if it originated from that, Yeshua was just being generous, sharing, and that story was really interesting to me because it's so far really the only kind of really super miraculous, supernatural seeming occurrence in the book so far about the whole endless, basically, fish and bread. And I've always been interested in that story, and that was, Mary says that that's the first time she saw a true miracle from him, I think it was. And yeah, that story was really interesting.
Well, when he was at the Last Supper and he was breaking bread and sharing wine, he said to the disciples, "Do this in memory of me." And so I think that's where the communion really comes from, is the sharing of his blood and his body.
Yes.
Oh, right. The Last Supper, yeah.
Yeah. And and you're right about that. They have fully control of it. You don't go to confession, you're not getting the body of Christ.
Therefore you can't connect with him. We need to be your middleman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have to go. I'm late. I got to go pick up my son from work. But I love chatting with you all. Thank you very
I'm glad
much.
you came in.
Seeing you, Don.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice meeting you.
Sarah's internet went out, but she's going to try to come back in. She said, I think, in the chat. But yeah, I wrote down a bunch of stuff from the book. I couldn't stop taking notes.
I have
Just
a question.
too much.
On page 24, I'm confused when she says that they were on a boat and he had already had Sarah, and that I think there was a 12-year-old boy that was on the boat when they were crossing to go to, I forget where she was leaving Egypt. She was leaving Egypt. She had Sarah with her, and there were some other people there. And then when Sarah was going to get married, Sarah was going to get married. She got married with this man, this boy, and it sounded like it was Jesus's son. Did Jesus have a son before he got together with? Unless I read it wrong. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
There was a 12-year-old. Wait a minute. Okay, Joseph of Arimathea, I think that's how you pronounce that, had a 12-year-old son who went with them to Egypt after the crucifixion.
Yeah.
Does it say that she married him?
Oh, here, I found it. It's page 23. It's at the top. It says, "But for those who wish to know the physical journey, after Yeshua crucifixion, I and his mother Mary, Joseph of Arimathea, and his 12-year-old son." Now, I'm probably reading that wrong. So the 12-year-old son is Joseph's?
Yes.
Joseph's, right? Okay. Okay, my Spanish is in the way sometimes.
Oh, no. And then she married into, it just says a well-known family whose heirs became the Templars. And we kind of talked about it earlier, how she married into the royal, like, Arthur bloodline,
Right.
that whole family.
Okay. For a minute, I thought it was Joshua had a son. Okay.
Oh, well, we talked about that as well because we're a little confused. In the book, it sounds like that Sarah was the only child, but we've heard, from other sources that there were other children. So we're wondering if she was the only one or not, because I don't really see how there could be more, based on the fact that Mary Magdalene was pregnant during the crucifixion. So. I don't know.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
You know, Marissa, we're all going to have to get together and ask Pamela to do a private group reading just for us about the book.
I know.
Yes.
Maybe at the end, maybe when everyone's done with it, she'll give us a little taste of one.
I know. Because I'm like, wait a minute, but that, yeah, pretty much.
We have questions. Sorry, Louise. Were you gonna say something? I could hear you a little bit.
Okay. I was going to say, is that good?
Yes.
After you just mentioned this on the call, I started wondering, and I looked back at that page where it said that he visited her after he died. That's
Yes.
how it's described in the Bible when Mother Mary is visited by the angel. So are they referencing that other kids could have come about the same way that Yeshua did?
Oh, I wondered about that. If he was able to impregnate her when he was in his Ka body. Possibly.
That's another question there, because I have the same question, because I remember from the other channelings that Jesus said no, that he was a normal conception.
Yes, I
he
remember
did?
that.
Yes, Edgar Casey is another one who says that he was not conceived he was just conceived by spirit, not through, not the regular way. And so was his mother, Mary, and that they were twin souls. They were actually twin souls or twins. He calls them twin souls, but we call them flames. So they were one. Yeah, they were one soul split in two, in female and male.
Actually, I read that because I read, now, don't quote me because I read this like a few years ago. I read that, you know how Mary was an Essene and her mother was also an Essene,
Yes.
and when they were young, they went through this ritual, like they both got chosen.
Yes.
They didn't know which one would be picked out of the initiates.
Right.
And then she was also an immaculate conception, but no one believed her mother. So when she gave birth to Mary, she was also initiated, and she got chosen out of the ones that were there to be picked from. But this time around, because of Jeshua, they believed her. But that's the only time I've ever read or heard that. Every other time has always been that he was conceived the normal way, so I have no idea.
Right.
Mother Mary's his name was Anne. And I had never learned that, but when I went through catechism as a Roman Catholic, I took that name as my confirmation name, and I didn't know why. And everybody was like, no, you can't take that name. No one takes that name. And I was like,
What was the name again? I think I missed it.
Yeah, so did I.
Anne, A-N-N-E.
Oh, Anne.
Yes, Anne. So that's Mother Mary's mother's name. And as a child, it's really weird, and I don't share this often. I always thought, like, whenever I would play, I took the name Anne. And I wanted to grow up and be a nun. And when I would play with some of the neighborhood kids, they would want to play different games, but I would want to play church.
Oh.
And I would take those little spree candy, and I would try to give out communion to people.
Amazing.
It is supposed to be the woman who gives communion because they give the body of life. They make a baby.
Yes.
I was like 6, 7, 8 years old when I did this.
Wow.
So my name is Lois Marie, which is a derivative of Mary, and Anne. Mary and Anne have always been hugely important to me, and I never knew the connection this book is making until I read it because Marissa recommended it and started the group. You're the one who's put all these pieces together for me, and that for me just makes so much sense in ways that it just feels like it put things together inside me.
Wow.
Because I'm like a really different, and I never talk, and I never hang out there or any of this, but I'm like, this one I have to because this one's important to me. And I think that understanding, I think we try to understand so much with our mind and put pieces together, I think that, like, even when you look at the Catholic religion, when he was on the cross and you mentioned, he said, well, this is hard, maybe I can't do it. Did he mean being tortured, or did he mean activating his cow body? Now that we know the information, what did he mean? Did he doubt that he could fully ascend to his cow body, or was he afraid of pain?
I would think it's the latter.
I took it to be the pain one because Mary said in the book that, you know, their last relationship together.
If he was sure he could ascend like this, and he was training for this, and she was training for this, and he knew this was going to happen, pain wouldn't. There'd be no place for him to be worried.
Oh no, but I don't think it has that. But I don't think that has affected his pain on the torture part. That would still hurt. Would, right?
Only exactly when he left. And just like in some Tibetan and Egyptian cultures, when people, and even Chinese, request for themselves to die, and they're buried in caves, and they finish their death process. They don't believe that happens instantaneously. So for me, I go back down this.
I think we're only getting bits and pieces of that.
Okay.
Is anyone hearing?
No, I'm not hearing very well.
Bits and pieces.
Okay.
But that brings up an interesting question, like you're saying. What made him question it? What made him go, I don't know if I could do this?
I think the reason we question
I wonder part of it was Mary, you know, that could have played a part in it, knowing her pain would be so immense, and his mother's pain would be so immense.
Yeah, because that's how I understand it. Because Joshua, with Mary's help, had the coughing under control. That was already done. I always took it to mean the personal sacrifice, the emotional and the physical pain required to fulfill his destiny. That's how I do it.
Do you remember in the introduction? Because that's what I recall when you say that. When they say, like, because of Mary, he almost didn't do what he was intended to do.
Oh,
Yes, that's said at the beginning.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
and that's the part that like made me really emotional. I remember that. So I was like wondering what will be in the story, you know, later.
Do you know what page that was on? I want to revisit that part.
That's at the very beginning where they say, I think
it's the end of the second introduction.
yes.
The end of the second, where she's speaking.
Yeah.
So Judy's introduction.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be page 13.
Looks like it.
13 is the last page.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was
He loved her so, he almost didn't do what he came to do.
Oh, on
Like there was
page 12.
romance that was so powerful that at the heart of the story that almost none of this happened. Because maybe they could have settled down to a little life together and, you know, not had all this this story drama. Amazing.
Yeah, that's right. That part I forgot about it. That's interesting.
Yeah.
We're getting another echo. I think it might be from Marianne.
Me too.
Echo.
Okay.
Marianne, we had one from Sarah, and she put headphones in, and that took care of it. I don't know if you have headphones.
I was going to restart it. Yeah.
1 second.
Okay, going back to that intro, reminding me of one part I had written.
Is that better?
It was, yes, I think so. There was a part at the end of the Judy intro where she said people to this truth from all over the world, and those who are ready would find the manuscript one way or another. And I thought, oh my goodness, that really resonated, especially building this circle and everything. I said, yes, that really resonates for sure. So yeah, I think we're all meant to find, because obviously a lot of us have heard of this book. I hadn't before this. Oh yes, I did. Actually, Pamela mentioned it one other time, and I remember thinking, it sounds interesting, but I'm reading different things right now. I'm not going to really read that. I'm not going to look into that yet. But after my session, I was like, that now's the time. And I realized that now is the time, and that it seems like very good timing. I don't know if you guys feel that way too with timing, but it feels like the right time.
I was so surprised that I was drawn to this, because I never before was really interested in either Jesus or Mary Magdalene, but now I felt like I gotta read this. And I didn't know why, but I had to. So.
Yes. Exactly. That's what I feel like we're all here for a reason, and it really does feel like an order, or like I love the group feeling of it. It's it's really interesting, the dynamics of it, and everybody. And I like that we actually have a couple of males in there too who are interested in this story. As Bo always reminds us, when we say, "Hey, ladies, gentlemen." He comes into my nightly hangouts usually every night. He's really cool.
Nice.
I'm going to set an intention to find us what links us all personally here with this story and with each other. And
my God.
wouldn't that be just beautiful? I want to find that.
I would love that.
Definitely.
I think we're all curious about that. And another thing that I'm curious about doing, and I know we don't all astral project, but I think it would be pretty cool to try to travel one night together, or day, and maybe go to one of the sites, see what we could feel going to it. Because you know what, I like the fact that Tom and I think it's his wife, Judy, how they went to all the different sites. A lot of the different sites that Mary actually was at while he was channeling and writing. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. That must have really cemented the channel. And
that's so cool.
Yes. I thought, how lucky. We're lucky. They get to go all over, travel all over the world. So anyways, maybe we could pick a location that resonates with all of us.
Yes, somebody please pick me up and Marissa, because I don't astral travel, not on purpose. So somebody has to come get me. Come get me.
How about we have Pamela drive the bus. We can all
right?
She can be the bus driver. We'll just all get in. She can tell us what happened. She'll be like the tour guide. Like, here's what we have.
That'll be cool. That's nice.
Well, hey, can you remind us about what happened on our tour there? We can't quite remember.
Right? I don't remember a thing. Take pictures.
If you like, I'll be the cap cook.
Oh, there you go. I like that idea. Well, if, I don't know if anyone had any other topics or questions, but if not, we could wrap up, depending on what you guys want to do.
Yeah, some of us have been going for 2.5 hours.
Okay.
It flew by. It was pretty fast.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I'd just like to say that I am like so happy that I found all you guys because
Oh, totally.
it's like complete
Yeah.
destiny. I'm like thrilled.
Yes, it feels very good.
I have
Yes.
shivers like last half hour.
Oh. Well, next time.
Yeah, and I have to apologize that I had to go silent, but there was an incident that I had to help someone with,
Oh, no problem.
Oh,
and the vacuum
My,
was like, woo, 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 so I just went outside and helped. But I came back.
Well, that was considerate.
Yeah.
and my internet dropped, so I know I've missed a lot, but maybe
Not too much, I don't think.
okay.
Maybe, and like I said, this is recording, so I'll post a link to it when it's up on YouTube. I can make it private. And so, what do you guys? Since you guys are here, what do you think the next point should be where we meet again?
Well, we need to just progress a little bit further, don't we? Like
Look through here.
maybe let's have a look at the contents page. I mean, do we want to get to the end of the next section, which is internal alchemy?
I'm seeing that. That would be about
179.
179?
Mm-hmm. So, Elena,
Okay.
Elena, I don't know if you can see. Can you see that?
Oh no, I don't have the book yet, but that's fine.
No, but
Like-
can you see the what I'm talking about?
Oh.
You see, we've read most
Wait a
of us
sec.
have read to here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm talking about reading to the end of the next section.
Okay.
What I'm wondering is if we should, since that's kind of a big section, and if you look at the next section, that's only 10 pages. I'm wondering if we should read like maybe half of this internal alchemy section, and then the other half go ahead and read it with the one woman story.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, it might be better.
So maybe let's see. Could everyone do? Maybe we could get up to. Maybe we could stop right before the alchemy of relationship.
Okay.
That's 179. So that would mean we would read up until 170. Or sorry, no, 136. Is that what I'm trying to say? Yes. I think that's pretty doable. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Sounds
okay.
good.
You know, that looks perfect because from Egyptian alchemy to the brief comparative, there's a lot of reading, so there must be a lot of stuff to discuss in there.
Right. Yes. I'm sure the next discussion will be a good long one too.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense. I could post about that in a group, and then from there we could figure out a date that we think will work for everyone, so that everyone gets the chance to get up to that point.
Okay.
And like I said, I will try to, and it takes a while sometimes. That's why I didn't do the full 77. But I'll see what I could do for people who don't have the book still. And other than that,
Marissa, I can do some scanning as well.
Very grateful for, and I can't wait to. Good. Okay, maybe we could split it up, figure it out. But anyways, have a good night and have a good day, and I will see you in the chat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you.
Thank you, Marissa.
Bye. Thank you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.